A congressional study reports today that the U.S. is not prepared to deal with cyber attacks, including from Russia, North Korea, and Iran, and is calling for an overhaul of how the U.S. manages cyber defense. Today, the Cyberspace Solarium Commission, led by a bipartisan group of lawmakers, is releasing these findings. Joining me now, the co-chairs of the Cyberspace Solarium Commission, Independent Senator Angus King of Maine and Congressman Mike Gallagher, Republican from Wisconsin. Welcome both. Senator, first to you, what are the major conclusions of the report and what you think needs to be done?
Well, I think one of the major conclusions is, first, it's a serious threat. We're under attack right now. And I talked to a utility executive recently, 3 million times a day, his systems are hit by outside forces. So this is a threat to our financial situation, our electric grid, our personal bank accounts, you name it. This is a serious threat. So that's number one. The essential of the report, however, is reorganize and get ourselves organized in such a way that we can confront this problem head on. Right now, responsibility for cyber is scattered throughout the Congress, scattered throughout the executive branch, and we really don't have a coherent set of policies. So that's number two. Number three is establish a cyber strategy, particularly of deterrence, because again, now people are coming at us in elections and in the Office of Personnel Management. They're making these attacks and they pay no price. And we believe that they have to be worried about what the results are going to be if they attack us. So that's sort of the big picture of where the report goes. But we have 75 detailed recommendations. We've been working on this for a year, as you say, entirely bipartisan. And we think this is an urgent matter that we just have to confront now. Only if we wait 5 years, it'll be a catastrophe.
Now, I realize that when you talk about cyber, you're talking about attacks on infrastructure, nuclear plants, the electric grid, the big things, airline, infrastructure, the FAA. But
how about hospitals? How about hospitals right now? That would be a problem.
Indeed. Well, Congressman Gallagher, we also have to worry about election security, and that's been a red line for certainly for the president and for the White House. The head of national intelligence may have been removed just because of that briefing that was held. Is that part of this?
It is a huge part of our final report. I would say we had exceptional participation on the commission from the executive branch. The military was represented, the DNI was represented, the FBI was represented. So we had very productive conversations with our executive branch counterparts, and we proposed a series of election security mechanisms. And if you read our opening letter, Senator Angus King and myself, we really talk about the importance of prioritizing election security, not just from a top-down funding perspective, but from a bottom-up perspective. How can we capitalize on some of the great work that's going on in the nonprofit space to equip different campaigns, tribal governments, territories with the resources they need to secure their election infrastructure? And also, how can we provide resources to have an auditable paper trail? And yes, we recognize the irony of a cyber commission recommending paper balloting.
Well, Congressman, also, you're a military man, former Marine, and I got to tell you that I've had briefings from the military and from the CIA back in the 1990s with the CIA director telling me that cyber was his biggest concern. And do you think that Cyber Command and the things that have been done since under General Nakasone, who is so highly regarded, have improved our capabilities? Or is it just that we have not improved as quickly as our adversaries?
Absolutely. General Nakasone's leadership has been exceptional. In 2018, the DoD put forward a cyber strategy that talks about this concept of defend forward. And one of the things we do in our report and our strategy is see how can we elevate the concept of defend forward and also extend it beyond the military across the federal government to build on Nakasone's success.
And Senator King, what are the next steps? How can you light a fire under people?
Well, the next steps are that as I say, we have about 75 recommendations. About half of them require legislation. We're going to make it real easy for our colleagues. We're going to actually submit drafted bills. It's not just a series of recommendations. And Mike and I have hearings coming up on both in the House and the Senate. We've already talked. We're in the process of talking to committee leadership and legislative leadership because this really is something that we need to attend to. Mike came up with a great summary of what we did. What we want to be is the 9/11 Commission without 9/11. We want to try to create a structure that will defend us before we have a catastrophic attack.
Senator Angus King and Congressman Mike Gallagher, two of the most thoughtful people on the Hill, we really thank you so much for coming today. Thanks again.
Thank you.